everyone. Welcome back to another amazing time with our man, Prashant. Retire Smart, Maryland. So good being with you another week, my friend.
Always a pleasure. Good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you, man. It's summertime. The weather's nice. Things are good and hopping around here in Maryland. You and I had some amazing conversations the other day. I think we have to focus on this right now. You have narrowed down in your team, there are 5 wealth principles that you have just through all of your interactions with modern retirees for the years you've been doing this. You can sum it down to 5 successful principles. We got to break those down on today's show. So if you want to know some of the 5, you're going to enjoy this. Let's start off the bat. Number 5, what do we got?
So I think you have to start today. And by the way, when I say that first one, a lot of times people look at me and say, Prashant, seriously, start today? Yeah, like, give me another one, right? But when we looked back at all of our most successful retirees, and by the way, when I say most successful retirees, I'm quantifying that or qualifying that by the people who have had their most fulfilling version of their lifestyle in retirement relative to where they were when they first came to visit with us. It's not about how much money you have.
That's right.
It's about the quality of your retirement lifestyle. And one thing that I found is that the people that started the planning process as early as possible then had the most time to prepare and thus had the most fulfilling quality of retirement lifestyle. So number 1 has to be start today. Every day that goes by that you're not taking some sort of proactive action to get closer to your retirement goals and your dreams is a day that, in my opinion, is totally wasted where we could have put that to good use. So number 1, start today.
So let me break this down. So I've been saving 30, 40 years. I'm getting ready to walk across that retirement threshold. Well, I have been starting. I've been saving 30, 40 years. But when you're saying start today, you're talking about start preparing for when we kiss this job, get out of here, and say hasta la vista, and you start turning that income on. You're talking about start today with understanding how you're going to get retirement income.
Exactly, because you're making this shift from what I call the accumulation phase of your lifetime into the next phase, which is that distribution phase. At some point in time, it's not about making more money. It's about protecting the money that you have and making sure that that money can provide you paychecks that you can never outlive. And so I think a lot of people focus on that accumulation phase and then they just retire and they're not sure where to go or what to do. The best place you can start is figuring out where that paycheck is going to come from. The sooner we can start the process of mapping out our paychecks in retirement, in my opinion, the better off we're all going to be as we get to retirement and, more importantly, through retirement as well.
Well, because when you look at 30 to 35 years of inflation and taxes that are eating away at that paycheck, you better start right now. The best time to get ready for retirement would have been yesterday. Next best time?
Right now.
Right now. Love that. Start today. All right, number 5, because people delay it.
Yep.
And they always come back and say, man, I wish I would have done this 4 or 5 years earlier. What's number 4?
It's got to be to hire a specialist. I've talked about this a lot on the show, and I come from a medical background, and I was always told that when I have a specific medical problem, to go seek out a specialist. If I have a heart problem, I want to go see the very best cardiologist out there. And if I have a knee problem, I'm going to go see an orthopedic doctor, right? But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go to my general practitioner for a heart problem. I might start there,
yes,
but then I go get the actual specialist's opinion. Why is financial planning any different? So many times people that come in to visit with us, they're already working with advisors, but those advisors are what we call accumulation specialists. They're really good at helping people establish their wealth. The fact is, most of the people that come into us, we don't work with that many people who are still establishing wealth. We work with people who have already established wealth.
Boy, that's a big statement right there.
And we help them make sure that their established wealth lasts them the rest of their lifetime and manage that tax liability and estate tax and estate planning responsibility along the way. You have to work with the correct specialist when you get within about 10 years of retirement.
Well, think about it. It's in the company's name. Elite income specialist here. This is what you all do and help people retire day in and day out. It's not your first rodeo, as my mama from South Texas would say.
It's exactly right. Our philosophy is the higher the retirement income, the better the retirement outcome. That's my entire philosophy. While you're working, financial life is just money in and money out. Income comes in, expenses go out. You try to save as much as you can. And when you retire, that does not change. The only thing that changes is where that income where that money in is going to come from. If you don't have a plan for where that money in is going to come from, you need to get started on that ASAP.
Before we jump to number 3, I think it's so important. You talk on this all the time. For 30, 40 years, folks, you've been saving in a 401k, and it's probably all being managed pretty much the same way. It's just well, throw it in there. If the market's down, good. My paycheck's going in, I'm buying more. Market's up, yippee-ki-yay. But that is not how you manage retirement, because if you go back and look at history, 2000, 2001, 2002, that's 3 years. And over those 3 years, the market was down 42%. Great financial crisis. Dear God, we don't even want to go there. Imagine having to take money out of that big bucket. Even in 2022, where you've got stocks that were getting crushed and bonds, a 40-year decline in the bond market, having to take money out of that, if you haven't segmented out your retirement income, could be detrimental. Not so much for the next 2 to 3 years, but the impact that has selling those assets at a loss that affects you 15 to 20 years down the road. Touch on that before we go to break.
Look, the old saying on Wall Street was what? It was buy low and sell high. But when you need income and you're retired and the market goes down and now you sell investments to withdraw that income, are you buying low and selling high?
Nay.
Of course not. You are doing the exact opposite. And so what we try to help people avoid is the idea of selling low. I'm a big believer that when you get close to retirement, within 10 years of retirement, losses will hurt you more than gains help you. It stops becoming about accumulating money and growing, and it becomes more about protecting against that catastrophic downside. Folks, it is about safety first as you head into your retirement. What we're going to do before we get to the break is we're going to open up our phone lines. That phone number, folks, 833-308-5200. You dial this phone number. Our operators are standing by. Have your calendar right there with you in front of you that you will be able to schedule that free, no cost, no obligation visit with our team of specialists at Elite Income Advisors. You come in to visit with us. We're going to help you put together a roadmap. It's a written roadmap that can help you retire smart. It's going to include things like an income for life plan, help you map out that income after taxes and inflation. Number 2, it's going to include that risk analysis, show you a portfolio stress test. How much risk are you subjected to, and could protecting some of your retirement investment lead to a lifetime of income? Third, that tax conversation. How will the threat of rising taxes affect your retirement income? Starts with that phone call.
Today's the day that you can start having that retirement idea and plan written out. Let me ask you a question. Do you know exactly how much money you and your spouse need to take out every month, even adjusted for inflation and taxes, over the next 20 to 25 years? Do you know how much your portfolio needs to return in order for you to have the lifestyle and dream retirement that you really want and work so hard for? Why not? You can get it today. 833-308-5200. I'll let you in on a little secret. It's complimentary. It's free to sit down with Prashant and their amazing team where you can start living retirement confidently. Pick up the phone. Dial it right now. We'll be right back with number 3. Stay tuned.
Before COVID, we were around 4 or 5 people.
It's a pretty tight-knit team that we have.
But now we are growing, and we have about 14 people right now.
It's really 4 or 5 advisors and 4 or 5 support folks, plus an accountant, CPA.
What I'm trying to really create is the family place that everyone loves what they do and enjoys helping the client. My parents, when they had their own company with my father, everybody liked to work because he liked to take care of the people, he likes to help the people, and I'm trying to establish the same thing in our company.
It's very much a team, kind of family-like culture at our company. You know, we hang out outside of work. We care a lot about each other's personal lives as well.
Marilyn, welcome back to another amazing conversation here on Retire Smart. We're talking about the 5 wealth principles for successful retirees. Number 5 was start today. Number 4 was hire a specialist. That kind of makes sense.
Yep.
Break out. What's number 3?
You have to begin with what's important, okay? And if I could give a little bit of an analogy, Joe, would you ever go see a doctor? I use my medical analogies. You ever go see a doctor and you show up and say, "Doc, my knee hurts," and the doctor says, "Okay, let's just go ahead and do surgery"?
I would hope not.
I would hope not as well, right? What's a doctor supposed to do? They're supposed to take the x-rays,
Sure.
do the analysis, figure out exactly where we want to end up, and then prescribe you the best treatment plan. But so often, advisors don't go through that discovery process to figure out what is best for their client. If you go and see a financial advisor and they start talking to you about the best stock or bond or mutual fund or annuity that is best for you without truly understanding what your retirement should look like, that is not the right place to start.
Right.
What we always say is, come on in, visit with us, tell me exactly where you want to end up, and we'll see if we can reverse engineer your plan to get you from part A to part Z, right? And so that's what it's all about. It's beginning with what's important, which is creating the perfect vision for retirement, and then figuring out the best way to plan to get you from where you are today to where you want to be.
That great book back in the 90s, right? Stephen Covey, Begin with the End in Mind. And how true is that? And I think for every modern retiree, the end is having enough income to last to and through retirement. So if that's the goal, you do have to identify, what is retirement going to look like for me? And that's what's so unique about what you all do, because everyone is different. Everyone is different. I make this joke all the time. Mom's from South Texas. She wants to sit and watch John Wayne's from sunup to sundown. Have a good glass of iced tea on the porch and rock. That's a little bit different of an income need than someone that's wanting to go out on a ranch, rustle up some horses, and spend their life traveling around who knows where. It's completely unique, and those individual plans, you all specialize at creating those.
You're exactly right. And yet so many advisors use cookie cutter solutions for every one of their clients. And it's the absolute wrong way, in my opinion, to go about it. You should have a plan. You deserve a plan that is customized for you, where you take into account your specific income needs. If you need $7,000 a month, we're going to help you total up all your sources of reliable income, identify whether or not you have a gap in your income, and show you how to solve that retirement income gap. But your plan, it's going to be different than your neighbor's plan, your golf buddy's plan, your coworker's plan. And so you deserve to have it customized for you. Begin with what's important.
You think about the income gap. We love to travel. I know we talk about this. In fact, we were in London not too long ago with our families, and we missed each other by just 2 days.
That's right.
But what I loved about the Underground is they've got everywhere painted there, right? The big gold letters, mind the gap. And why did they do that? Because so many people are on solid footings of that foundation, and stepping onto that train, they were falling inside the gap. How about you? You might be on this firm foundation of employment and wanting to get onto that train of retirement, but if you don't mind the income gap, that is a big area where so many folks tend to fail because they haven't planned out the income need. Got to begin with the end in mind.
Absolutely. I think it comes down to what I call income security. We have the security of that paycheck while we're working. Why are we not in pursuit of the security of the paycheck when we are retired? I'll tell you what stresses people out. Depending on the stock market to create the dividends and returns that they need to retire comfortably. Look, when I'm retired, when our clients are retired, the last thing they want to do is be watching the stock market while they're in Europe on vacation saying, can I do things the way I want to do things this month or this week or this year? You just don't want that kind of uncertainty. The best way to do it is create reliable income that offers you income security so that you can live life in the most fulfilling way possible.
You go back in history and you see some of these long periods of market declines, and I know you've seen this in your career, you've been doing this long enough, where people had planned and worked so hard, but they hadn't set up that income bucket. They really hadn't put attention to that. They were just hoping that things were going to continue and go well. And the market tends to have more up years than down years, and that will happen. But the challenge is, when do those bad years happen? And for those folks that maybe retired in 1999 at the peak of that tech bubble, or really was a bubble, and you had 2000, 2001, 2002, and we saw that great collapse. Many of them were going back to work as consultants. Why? Because they hadn't planned for the income gap. It is such an important part. And for successful retirees, when they nail that, they can go off and do whatever they want to do.
When you have all the income that you could ever want or need coming in, do you really care what happens in the stock market on a day-to-day basis? Not really. I mean, yes, we all want to make money, but we know that we can't do that if we don't have time on our side. By having reliable income that you can always depend on, what you do is you've bought yourself the time that you need for your other investments to go through the ups and the downs of the market and recover appropriately as we hit those different market cycles. It just makes all the sense.
I think it's so important, too, when you look at what you all do. You focus on the income first, but you have an amazing wealth management arm of your firm. Talk a little bit for the folks that are watching right now. Talk about just some of the institutional managers that you work with, where you can help them set up that growth bucket. And I love that you all pay such attention to the expense and the fees that are associated with it, because it's such a great eroder of wealth.
I'm a big believer in the market, okay? I am. It's shown us for the last 100 years that it will go up over time.
Yes.
But the closer you get to retirement, losses hurt more than gains help. And so our investment team, what they do is we use the best portfolio managers in the world, these big companies, to help manage our clients' money on more of a tactical basis. And all that means, Joe, is that as the world changes, as the market changes, as politics change, we believe that your portfolio should also proactively change to include less risk in the bad times and more growth in the good times. Now, it's not a perfect science, because anytime we deal with the market, there's no such thing as guaranteed returns.
Absolutely.
But through data, through analytics, through trend following, through using and leveraging some of the technology of the biggest firms on planet Earth, we can set up an investment process that allows us to help protect our clients' wealth in bad markets as best we can and take advantage of that growth. And I think that is what true tactical management is all about. And here's the thing, when you pair that with the income security that you need to retire,
it's a powerful one-two combo.
It's a powerful plan that offers you peace of mind. And I think at the end of the day, the clients that are a great fit for us, most of them, they just want to know that they're going to be okay, that they know where their paycheck's going to come from, and that they're not going to lose too much money at the wrong time. That's what it's all about.
Folks, the question for you right now is, are you ready? Are you ready to take a move to get your personal written income plan? Have a clear understanding of the risk that you're taking right now in your current portfolio. What are you paying for that risk? Do you have a tax map? Do you have a tax strategy to help maximize and optimize your future income? If not, pick up that phone. Right now is the time to take action. 833-308-5200. We have an amazing team standing by to set up a personal consultation with you and one of the amazing team members at Elite Income Advisor. Today is the day that you can get a hold of your retirement dreams and you can start living confidently, so you can be and stay retirement ready. We're going to do a quick break. When we come back, we're going to knock out number 2 and number 1. Stay tuned.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter, the one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
All right, Marilyn, we're having a great conversation here with Prashant. We're talking about the 5 wealth principles of successful retirees. We've got 2 left, a few minutes. Give us number 2, my man.
Number 2 is you have to have a plan that is comprehensive and coordinated. Going back to my medical analogies, this is what I'm going to say. Every person who has ever taken prescription medication knows that prescription medication comes with what? Side effects, right?
Oh my, yes, the lovely commercials.
Exactly. And when you take multiple prescriptions at the same time, those prescriptions interact with each other. So the way I look at it is every financial decision that you've made in the last 5 or 10 years is a financial prescription that has both side effects and interactions with all of the other decisions you made. At a certain point in time, you have to coordinate all these financial prescriptions together to create a plan that allows you that lifetime of income, risk management, tax management, and estate planning. And so every part of your financial and estate plan has an impact on some other part of your plan. Your plan has to be comprehensive, and it must be coordinated in order to retire comfortably.
Everybody's had that little sweater situation, right? You start to pull on it and you're like, oh dear God, this is not a good option, right? It starts to unravel. Nothing more important than that. Just start with Social Security. I mean, when do you take it? Do you take it at this age? Do you take it at that age? How does that impact your taxes? How does that impact your Medicare? How does that impact your entire over income budget? I love the fact that as you're focusing on income, you also dive into Social Security, what's left of it, and you start bringing that as part of a plan.
Social Security is a cornerstone of the retirement income plan. Now, what happens is Social Security is definitely making up a smaller part of that pie.
Well, we would hope.
Right? And that's kind of made a shift in the burden of responsibility. I mean, it's now more on the employee or the pre-retiree to create their own income to supplement that Social Security, because we know Social Security alone does not cut it in this day and age. But I think you're exactly right. You have to coordinate all these different income sources together. You have to be able to coordinate and work through the tax consequences of this. And then, Joe, what happens when you pass away? I mean, I think we're going to see one of the largest transfers of wealth from the baby boomer
trillion
generation to the next generation that we will ever see. And so how do we do that tax efficiently? Your plan has to be coordinated to make sure that we're thinking about all these different things.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, think about what you have right now. Think about, as we're getting older, you and I are sitting here, we're no longer spring chickens. And, I've got children and I'm thinking, wow, how do I pass this on most effectively? When you look at $38 trillion sitting right now in these accounts that are going to be moving over the next 10 to 15 years to the Gen X and the Gen Z, doing that most efficiently is imperative if your goal is to have legacy planning. I love that you all focus on that as part of your overall outs. Before we hit number 1, touch on that a little bit.
Just think about what the laws used to say. If you had a retirement account and you left it to your non-spouse beneficiary, the old laws said that you could take that IRA, pass it on to your non-spouse beneficiary, and they could spread the tax hit on it out over the course of their entire lifetime. You leave it to a 40-year-old, son or daughter or whatever, and they live to be 90, they could spread $1 million tax hit out potentially over 50 years.
Not anymore.
The new rules are 10 years. You leave someone $1 million and they can only spread the tax hit out over 10 years. It creates a domino effect that I call the tax domino. I write about it in my book, Fiscal Health, Retirement Wealth. But that tax domino is imperative to manage so that your wealth doesn't unnecessarily go to Uncle Sam when you pass it on to the next generation.
All right, my man, our time's come. The number 1 wealth principle for successful retirees is, drum roll,
just do it. You just have to do it. I'm reminded of the story of Joe Robbie. Do you know this story, Joe Robbie?
He's a football guy, if I remember right.
Football guy. He really changed the way that NFL stadiums were built. He was a principal owner, founder of the Miami Dolphins. And built that Dolphin Stadium. The thing is, when Joe Robbie passed away, his estate owed $47 million.
Oh my.
And they did not have the liquidity to pay the estate taxes. And so he was an attorney and didn't have the appropriate trusts in place or the liquidity that could have prevented the sale of the stadium, the sale of the team. And so as a result, his family, a lot of miscommunication, a lot of people not being on the same page, had to sell a bunch of assets just to cover the estate tax liability. And the way I look at it is if he had just done it, just taken that action, all of this may have been able to be avoided. So when I go back and I look at all of our clients who are the most successful retirees, and they've met every expectation for what their retirement would look like, I just go back to those 5 wealth principles. Start today, hire a specialist, begin with what's important, create a comprehensive, coordinated plan, and of course, just do it.
You got to get going.
And what we're going to do today is we're going to give everybody that opportunity to start today. It starts with that phone call. It's 833-308-5200. If you want a free copy of my book as well, where I talk about all these wealth principles and more, you can visit retiremaryland.com. You can scan the QR code. I would be happy to send you a totally 100% free copy of this book so that you can get on track to the retirement you deserve.
Folks, you get one shot at retirement. This is the day to take action. You don't have to be owners of an NFL team to worry about estate planning. You can pass on the assets that you've worked so hard for, even where you are right now, the most efficient way possible. But you know how to do that. Reminded of a statement that I heard from Anthony Munoz, an amazing NFL player in Cincinnati there at the Bengals. Are we allowed to say Bengals in a Ravens net?
We'll let it slide.
We'll let it slide.
For this one, yeah.
Anthony always talks about an amazing speech he heard one time, and he brought it down to this. There are folks that are interested, and then there are folks that are committed.
Yeah.
The question I'm going to ask you right now, are you interested in retirement? Are you interested in kind of getting control of all this chaos and these questions you might have? And you've been watching this show. It's not by accident. You've been watching for a reason. That reason should be, I'm going to be committed and making sure that I have these 5 principles set up. Maybe you just retired and you're like, we haven't covered any of this stuff with my current advisor. Maybe you're 5 or 6 years out from retiring and you're going, wow, all my money is being managed the same way. Maybe I need to start talking and doing some of the things that Prashant and his team are talking about, setting up income engines so you can have the retirement of your dreams. To do that, you got to do it. 833-308-5200. Pick up the phone. Someone on the other end say, hey, here's my schedule. I want to set up a free consultation to meet with Prashant and his team so we can start having a clear understanding of how we can be and stay retirement ready. Maybe you don't want to talk to somebody. There's a QR code. Take your phone up there. Take a picture of that. Take you right to a landing page. You don't have to talk to anyone. You could fill out a form and meet with this amazing team. And don't forget this awesome book. Today's the day to take action. Get off that couch. Get out of that recliner. Make a call. Set an appointment. Go have a great dinner and enjoy the rest of your day. We thank you for watching. We're going to see you next week.